warroomsports.com. Get that mobile app.
Football fans and pretty ladies, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of Field Vision, brought to you as usual by the fellas at War Room Sports and the good fellas at Sports Kings. I'm one of your hosts, Devin McMillan, and we got at the round table with me this evening, we got Frank Santos of Sports Kings.
I just want to say, Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, I appreciate your hospitality on the bandwagon for 3 weeks, but I'm out.
We got the homie Jim Ricalto, Sports Kings, one of the founding members of Field Vision, in the building. What's up, Jim?
Finally, I have returned to Field Vision.
And we got my partner from War Room Sports. We got Jimmy the Blueprint. What's up, King?
What's up, people? Listen, man, all I want to say is free Jameis Winston. He was in a college cafeteria. I mean, I once got a hand job. Never mind.
All right, man, we're going to talk a little bit about not just the week that was in week 2 of the NFL, but we're just going to take a few teams and talk about them real quick. Basically, what I want to know from you guys with the teams we named are, are they as good as they seem? And on the other hand, are they as bad as they seem? Some of these teams we may have overrated from the beginning. Some of them we may have jumped the gun on a good or bad performance in week 1. But we'll get to the bottom of it right now. We're going to start with the reigning champions, the Seattle Seahawks. They came out in week 1 against the Green Bay Packers, totally annihilated them, and everybody was saying this is a dynasty in the making because, a reigning champ on ring night came out and they were focused and they did that, and then they come out the next week against the San Diego Chargers and lay an egg. So what do you guys think about the Seattle Seahawks? Granted, this is week 2. We're going into week 3, so anything we say right now could end up being wrong, good or bad. But what do you guys think about them right now, especially after week 1 when everybody was singing their praises? Did we jump the gun a little bit?
You guys may have jumped the gun, not me. I was telling you guys the whole time that the Seahawks weren't that good. Not as, they're the reigning champs, obviously, but, you always have to take into effect that first Thursday night game, all the energy and the fans being pumped up, banner going down, and they're just like the best home team maybe ever, in the history of the NFL. So you always got to take that into effect, and I just think people definitely did overreact when they saw the Seahawks basically put a whooping, no Adrian Peterson, on the Packers there. And no, I think they're still a good team because I think what happened is they're not as good of a road team as a home team, obviously, and then they went on the road against the San Diego team that I think is pretty good, and I just think you just saw it even out. I think at the end of the day they're going to be in contention for that number 1 seed in the NFC, but I don't think they're blown away. I don't think they're by far the best team in the NFC right now.
Right. No, and I can definitely vouch for Frank. It's on video. Anybody who watches the show can vouch.
Yeah, we kept the files.
Frank picked San Diego to win that game in the first place, so he's not just blowing smoke right now. Go ahead, Jim.
I just want to say I don't want to jump the gun and say that we jumped the gun because, like you said, it's week 3. So, right. This is the great thing. This is the beauty of football. From week to week, it's like, we always overreact. We always overrate. We always underrate, and that's the beauty of the sport. They are a great team at home. San Diego scares me. Like, when we made our predictions for the season, I said they would give Denver a run for the money, finish in second, but they would leapfrog the Chiefs and be in second place in the AFC West. And I'm even more scared watching them play because they just have no fear. Like,
right.
You can see Phillip Rivers rubbing off on his team, Pauls, but because they have no fear on both sides of the ball. They didn't care whether they were playing Seattle or they were playing like the Raiders. It doesn't matter. Like, they out there balling and having fun. Right. So they're a tough team. So it's not like the Seahawks went up against, the Raiders, for Christ's sake. That's right. The Raiders are my punching bag. I always make them the worst team in all my analogies. But it's not like they played the Raiders. They played the Chargers. So, I don't want to overreact and say Seattle is overrated. They're still probably the best team in the NFC, even with that loss.
Right. Now, for me, I noticed the exact same thing, especially about that game that you noticed, Jimmy. Well, we kind of knew that going in because we talked about it offline that, Phillip Rivers, even though, I think Rodgers is a better quarterback, but what we saw from Rodgers in week 1 not going to Sherman's side of the field. We knew we weren't going to see that with Phillip Rivers because he's always been in that quote-unquote gunslinger category where he like O-Dog for minutes. He just don't give up. But the overreaction with Seattle, I put that on a lot of fans and pundits and so-called experts out there in the sports world because personally, I don't think I overreacted. I picked them to beat San Diego, but at the same time, after that Week 1 game, I was more looking at whether I overrated the Packers, rather than are the Seahawks really this good? And we're going to talk about the Packers in a minute, but let's see what Jim has to say about the Seahawks.
I think it was a combination of everything you guys said and a few more things. I mean, we're so used to Seattle winning, so when they lose, it's like, wow, are they not that good? And that's not the case. Mm-hmm. And then secondly, you run into a hot Phil Rivers who can beat anybody when he's on. And then take into account they were on the road and they're great at home, but they can be beaten. But like Jimmy said, you can't overrate and overreact right now. I think Seattle's still a 12-4, 13-3 team. But when you run into a hot Phil Rivers, you can be beaten, and that's just what happened.
Absolutely.
Phil Rivers, he's like the equivalent of a hot goalie. Don't they?
That's a good
Put
analogy.
you on a nice little run. So let's talk about the Packers.
Throw at Sherman. Throw at Sherman.
Oh yeah, I mean you have to make everybody on the field work. You know what I'm saying? I thought, and I was really surprised to see that from Aaron Rodgers. But so let's talk about the Packers a little bit. Like I said, coming out of Week 1, I thought I learned a little more about the Green Bay Packers than I learned about the Seattle Seahawks. And even though they made the comeback win against the Jets the other day, I don't think I learned any more about them than I had learned in Week 1 because it's difficult to imagine them even falling into that situation with the Jets. And this is coming from an Eagles fan. We were down 17-0 to the Jags, but I hold Aaron Rodgers in a higher esteem than I hold most quarterbacks in the league, and it's not just his fault, but it still seems like even though the team has a pretty good running back, they still seem one-dimensional at times. And I think that might be their problem, that along with the defense. But what do you guys think about the Green Bay Packers?
Well, considering that Jordy Nelson is on my fantasy team, I appreciate the way they've been playing.
I was playing against them this week.
In terms of the team, though, I get what you're saying about it being like one-dimensional. I think their biggest problem is injuries. Like even with the Seattle game, like I said last show, they were a couple plays from being right in that game with a chance to win, but they made a couple bonehead plays. They had a lot of dumb penalties, and their injuries to the offensive line specifically, like. The offensive line is where it's at. Like, Lacy has nowhere to run when he gets the ball. People can look at a running back all they want to, but if you have no holes, it's just what you're going to do. So their offensive line is troubling right now. The defense can't stop anybody. I still think they'll be in contention to win their division because we also saw how the Lions played. The Bears are, a tale of when the Cutler wants to throw the ball to his team or the other team. And the Vikings, man, only people they can beat. No, let me shut up. But the Vikings are in trouble, so I still think Green Bay will be right there with a chance to win the division. So I'm not going to say they're overrated.
Right.
I picked them to go to the bowl for Christ's sake, so I'm not going to flip-flop now,
The only reason I even use the word overrated is because, and I might be guilty of this too, we look at that one position so much, and we look at Aaron Rodgers being there. So I think just because he's there, I personally, grade that team prior to the season. I think I personally grade them higher than they probably should be graded. But I mean, we'll see how it plays out. Like I said, it's week 3, so they might turn it around.
That's with every great quarterback, though, right?
Yeah, pretty much. You always think that the team has a chance because of that guy, but not only have a chance, like you just like this team is a straight up contender, but they haven't played like it so far, but that doesn't mean that they're not one. So we'll see how it plays out. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm not ready to call them overrated.
Let's take the Saints. How good are the Saints really? I mean, how good are the Saints really? Like, if you look at the Saints.
Yeah, that's the team I'm more concerned about. But I'm not ready to call the Packers overrated, just because, Jimmy brought up a good point about the offensive line. I mean, if you have no offensive line, you pretty much have no team. I mean, it all starts with the offensive line. I am very concerned about Eddie Lacy just because he seems to have a lot of like 1 yard, 2 yard runs, and like he has a lot of runs that just don't get you anything. But more so, I watched a lot of that game versus the Jets, and the Jets might be better than we think they are. I mean, I think that could be a factor later on. We could look back in the season, the Jets are like a 9-17, like, oh, I guess that wasn't too bad of a test for the Packers. But more so, I mean, the way that game played, it was just one of those weird games where, like, you blinked and they were down 14-0. You were like, what the hell happened? How are the Jets up 14-0 in Lambeau Field right now? And then even if it is a mediocre team in the Jets, to come back is still impressive. I think they were down 21-3 at one point. So to come all the way back, I think still is impressive. And I think anytime you have Aaron Rodgers, you have a shot. So I'm not ready to jump ship on the Packers just yet. I am definitely concerned mostly about the offensive line, Eddie Lacy, and that the defense could be terrible by the end of the season. We could look back and say this is a terrible defense. Because they got like 1 or 2 playmakers, like Clay Matthews, obviously, but aside from that, it gets a little questionable.
Yeah, like for me, I just think they're not a complete team. They can contend because of Rodgers, but when you have a very inconsistent defense, no offensive line, an inconsistent running back, I mean, Cobb, Nelson, and Rodgers can't do it all every game. And we saw that against the Jets. They came back, and they got damn lucky. I mean, even the tying touchdown was called back because of the timeout, and they got torched by a really good team in Seattle and barely got by a mediocre team in the Jets. And if you're not playing in all facets, you might contend just because your division's bad and you have Aaron Rodgers, but they'll get rocked in the playoffs if they keep playing like this.
Right. All right. Well, we'll see. You know what the Packers end up doing if they can right their ship. Maybe week 2 was maybe week 1 was a bump in the road and week 2 was the first step to righting that ship and doing what they're supposed to do. Monday night we had a game that was billed to be a shootout, and it pretty much turned out to live up to that. You know, it was a tale of 2 halves though, because in the first half it was all Indianapolis, in the second half it was all Philadelphia. The Colts at 0-2. Two questions about a question about both of these teams. The Colts at 0-2. Is this team in trouble, or is that division weak enough for them to be able to shake this off and buck the odds that only 12% of teams who start 0-2 actually make the playoffs? So are they in trouble? And the Eagles, like, can they keep this up? Like, if they keep not really playing well in the first half, can they be what they're supposed to be this season? Jim, start with you.
Okay. Which one?
Calton.
No, go ahead, Calton.
First off, on the Eagles, I think you got to tip your hat to Chip Kelly a little bit for making great halftime adjustments. That team is a totally different team after they go into halftime, and they came out and they won 2 games that they could have lost. And that Jacksonville one was scaring everybody, and they came out and just ran away with it, and then they had a nice comeback against Indy. So if they can get some better starts, I think Philly's a really good team. But as far as the Colts go, I see a little bit of Green Bay in them. Their defense isn't that great. They don't have a great running back, and Andrew Luck can't do it all. And they started out 0-2. I would say they are in a little bit of trouble. They got to put something together here, but like you guys said, the division is weak, so they might be able to win 3-4 in a row and come back and take it. But it's tough when only one person's doing all the work.
That's a good point about their running game, because I think the trouble that they ran into in this game was that they had some success on the ground, and it lulled them into thinking that they could continue, and win this game in the second half by continuing to run the ball. The Eagles adjusted to that defensively, and I think on that last drive by the Colts, I think it was kind of foolish to run the ball back to back, in a situation where you needed to get down the field, and you have one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. But shout out to Pep Hamilton. I went to school with him, but I have to keep it objective. I don't think that was a great move to run back-to-back plays in that situation. So for me, the Colts, I think that division is weak enough for them to overcome an 0-2 start. But they're gonna have to start with Jacksonville. But I think everybody is getting their start on Jacksonville so far this season. Philly, Washington, they were down in the dumps after week 1, only scoring 6 points. They get Jacksonville, put a 41 spot on them, and now, I live in that area, now their fans are flying high, and they're back in the thick of things, so they think. Um, Jimmy, what do you think about the Eagles?
I think that the Eagles need to get it together. You can't keep playing games like that. I mean, they have so much talent on the offensive side of the ball, and I'm not going to say anything about Chip Kelly because the national media already gives him a blumpkin anytime his name is mentioned. But, I mean, they just can't continue to play this way. Their play calling is kind of suspect in the first half. It makes me feel like he's just like calling plays to see how they're going to react to certain things, and then calls his real plays in the second half.
Yeah, his red zone play calling is terrible.
Like they're like first and goal at the one, and they're going out of shotgun. Like, it's just I don't get it at times. In terms of the Colts, they have medicine coming their way this week, so they'll be healed after this week when they get some medicine. They're going to do all sorts of things to that Jacksonville team, and they're going to pay for the last 2 weeks. They haven't had that Jagatussin coming. They got Jagatussin on the way.
You guys
so they'll
know
be okay.
Y'all know I'm always pessimistic about my team. I'm an Eagles fan for people out there that don't know that. But it's like when you look at the way they're playing, one half versus the other, even though I'm a pessimist, you wonder, like, it could be really scary if this team could put together 2 halves in a game. It could get really scary.
That's why I feel like Chip Kelly is really out there just calling plays in the first half like a boxer in the first couple rounds. Like, all right, how they gonna react to this?
Roping.
Yeah. Setting him up
like Rocky. He's like Rocky versus Apollo. He's just leaning on the ropes, just waiting for his shot.
Getting pummeled.
Con artist. He's like a con artist. He don't want to score right away. He's setting him up for the long con. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
he's hustling him in the first half.
He's like Danny Ocean.
It's not dramatic enough. He's got to wait till the second half.
For the Eagles, I'm actually moderately impressed with them. Obviously the first halves are an issue, but I'm impressed with the defense, how good they can be at certain points. I didn't even think they had that much talent. Like, let's not give Andrew Luck a pass. They were giving it to Andrew Luck. He was making a lot of bad passes. They were putting pressure on him a lot of the game, and they really made him seem mediocre at times out there on the field. And a shout out to Trent Richardson. I really can't wrap my head around how bad you are at football. Like, I don't understand how you were a first round pick at this point. I don't even get it.
His is like confidence, because you think about it. Like, in college, he was amazing. Even his first couple games in the pros, he looked like he was going to be a player, but he gets the ball and he's not decisive at all.
Yeah, it's to the point where you're surprised that he gets more than a 5-yard run now. You're like, oh, look at Trent Richardson. He moved the ball more than 5 yards.
He needs a psychologist. So I think his is like a mental issue or something.
Frank is right, though, because if you look at Andrew, if you didn't watch the game and you just, if you're just a fantasy dude and you look at your fantasy stats, see Andrew Luck threw, 3 touchdown passes, but they were all like 2-yard passes.
Yeah.
And he only had like 100-something yards passing. So that you do have to tip your hat to that defense, because you saw what their defense was last season. But they did take a big hit in the game. If Michael Kendricks can't play, they're going to be in trouble, because Casey Matthews is, I think he's adopted. Like, I don't understand. He doesn't have Matthews blood, man. He's yeah. Go ahead, Frank.
Does it a little bit. Go ahead.
As far as the Colts go, honestly, I think it was a consensus during the preseason that we basically took the Colts by default to win their division, just because we thought the whole division was so bad. I don't think anybody really thought the Colts were great. And to me, their fate really depends on the Houston Texans, because it seems like the Houston Texans are the only team that could realistically challenge them for the division. Obviously, the Jaguars, like you said, Jagatussin, that's what people get every week.
Jagatussin, baby.
Yeah, I'm in on that one, by the way. That one's going to become a trend.
Hey, until they put my man Blake in the game. Blake, he might change some stuff.
Hashtag
he might at least scare people. You'll still get your tussin, but he might scare some people in there. Okay, the Jags are competitive.
But the Tennessee Titans, I was very disappointed in. They were one of the teams I thought that might be a sleeper, and then they let the Cowboys just thrash them at home. I was very disappointed in that. But I definitely think that the Colts, they're potentially in trouble if they go 1-4, let's say. Obviously they're going to win this week, but if they lose 2 in a row after this, they could definitely be in trouble. I'm not ready to call them in trouble yet, but they're definitely, with the Texans emerging, they could be in some trouble.
Yeah, to me, the Titans are who I thought they were. Because remember, I talked about the Texans before the season started as possibly not making the playoffs, but bouncing back from how terrible they were last year. But hey, you never know. If Indy keeps playing like that, they could be legitimate contenders for that division.
I just want to throw this out there really quick. Do you think that Chip Kelly watches footage of Darren Sproles before he makes love to his wife, or not? That's what gets him going. I kind of feel like it is. Like he just watches Darren Sproles, all the things he could do with him. He's just like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Chip looked like a freak, so he probably does. All right, last team we're going to talk about before we make our picks for the week. The 49ers. This is another Jekyll and Hyde type team, but I don't know how many of you people out there read my quarterback rankings prior to the season. When I talked about Colin Kaepernick, the biggest thing I talked about was, of course, his talent, his potential. Like Jaws said, he could be one of the best ever, and I'm not going to go that far. But his biggest problem is inconsistency, and he showed you that from week 1 to week 2. Frank, what do you think about the 49ers, man?
I was low on the 49ers before the season. It was almost surreal watching the Bears come all the way back on them. I watched that whole game with a 49ers fan, and that was a pleasant experience. There were things thrown. There were objects thrown at the television. I will guarantee you that. But it was very surreal to watch it, and I just think the 49ers could be in really big trouble, especially if Vernon Davis isn't on the field. I know he's questionable to play this week. He may not play. If he's out long term, Colin Kaepernick relies on Vernon Davis maybe more than any quarterback relies on a single receiver in the league. He loves Vernon Davis.
No, you ain't seen the Lions play.
Yeah, that's true, Calvin.
So far this season, Jimmy Stafford's trying to spread it around a little bit.
He is a little bit.
But when they get in the red zone, it's going to Calvin Johnson. But he's been spreading it more than he used to.
Point well taken about Calvin. But
Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson, they got a little something.
That's true. They got the white boy to white boy connection going on there.
Yeah,
exclusive. Yeah. But Kaepernick is very reliant on Vernon Davis, and I think you will see a very different 49ers offense if Vernon Davis is out for a long period of time. I think Carlos Hyde, I'm very undecided about Carlos Hyde. I don't know if he needs more time, if they need to, because Frank Gore is more consistent, obviously. You know what you're getting when you give Frank Gore the ball. But it does seem like that team might need something more dynamic, like a Carlos Hyde to make a difference. But I'm moderately concerned about the 49ers. I didn't pick them to make the playoffs, but I also had the Buccaneers taking their place, so that's not working out so well. But, I think they will be one of those teams fighting for the last playoff spot. I don't think they're guaranteed to get into the playoffs.
All right.
Listen, man.
Or Jimmy, one of you.
The only thing I was going to say, I'll be very brief with this one, is I'm not going to lie to any of our followers or listeners or watchers of this. I cut the game off. It was 20-7. I went I'm going to bed. This game is over. It's born and now is a stomp at Moho. Kaepernick was sharp. He was looking like Montana and Young had a black baby. He was out there just tearing the Bears to shreds. And I said, it's over with. This game is over. So when I woke up the next day and I saw that the Bears came back, I'm like, yo, this can't be. Now, you watch the NFL Network and they replay the games and whatnot. So I had to watch the second half. And I'm like, are you serious?
Jimmy, come on, man. When you got a quarterback like Jay Cutler.
and shot to Fred Purdue because he sent me a text, and that's exactly what he texted me. When you got a quarterback like Jay Cutler, I just said, come on, man.
Your friend's such a troll.
He has no humility. I'm telling you, he has no humility.
Yeah, but, it wasn't even Jay Cutler. It was it was the other quarterback, and Brandon Marshall was just like, it was ridiculous,
Brandon Marshall put the team on his back. Brandon Marshall said, "We're not gonna lose today."
If you look at Cutler's stats, that was the same thing. Like, he's playing on short fields. He's throwing touchdowns, but he didn't have a lot of yards in that game. So I don't remember what he finished with. But Jim, go ahead.
I think we all thought the Bears would be pretty decent this year, so I'm not surprised that they put up points like they did, especially with Marshall out there balling. But Kaepernick is a huge concern. He looked way too much like Romo. He wrapped the game up for him on a silver platter, and they took advantage of the chances he gave him. It's like, I don't know, it blew my. I stopped watching the game too. I was following it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is over. And then I got a fantasy update. Brandon Marshall went from like 6 points to 28 in like 2 seconds. I was like, what the hell's going on here? And then you see that they lost. And then you couple that with the injuries the Niners have on defense. They're not as dominant as last year. They're susceptible, as we saw. They put up 3 touchdowns in like 5 minutes. And if Kaepernick keeps playing that way, they're not going to win games. They can't grind it out and be physical. I don't know. I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, and another point about the Niners is that they're not, like you brought up with the defense, Jim, is that their defense isn't good enough to bail them out anymore. So when you lose the turnover battle 4-0, the defense isn't good enough to make up for that anymore.
Yeah. But I just look. You definitely have to put that game on turnovers because who throws 4 touchdowns while throwing 176 yards? Besides Cutler and Andrew Luck, who does that? All right, so let's go to our games of the week, man. Let's start with the Thursday nighter. Frank's former Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to Atlanta, going to the Dome to play Jimmy's Atlanta Falcons. Let's start with you, Frank.
I am. Yeah, screw it. I'm on the bandwagon one more week. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, show me something.
He gave up and then went
Let's
back.
go.
Yeah, he's like the NFL. He just put him on the exempt list. First he said,
I deactivated him and now I'm reactivating him. Words of the Viking.
All right, Jim R. Who you got?
If week 1 Matt Ryan shows up, Atlanta. If week 2 Matt Ryan shows up, Tampa.
Yo.
Just climb the fence and stand right on top of the
But
fence.
I'll take Atlanta for my pick though. But that's what's going to happen.
Okay. And from now on, I'll just go Jim and Jimmy. So Jimmy.
All right, yo. And the funny thing is, I watched the entire Atlanta game because I know I'm on a bandwagon based upon watching HBO's Hard Knocks. And yo, Matt Ryan didn't play bad last week. There was open. The Bengals defense, a lot of that game, they didn't have a pass rush. They literally dropped everybody in coverage. He sat back there like with Tom Brady type time, and there was just nobody open. So shout out to the Bengals because I think I underestimated you to begin the season. I mean, even though it's only 2 weeks, and the Bengals have good karma going on for what they did for the the guy in the practice squad or what have you. So they got good karma on their side too. But I'm taking Atlanta to bounce back. They're playing at home. Their offense is dangerous at home. They're just. I'm not going to say they're the Seahawks, but it's similar to them. They play different than the home and road, so I'm taking Atlanta at home.
All right, yeah, I'm going to take Atlanta because Tampa's garbage. San Diego at Buffalo.
That was real simple.
Yeah, that's easy for me. San Diego at Buffalo. I'm going to go with the Chargers, not because they beat the Seahawks last week. I would have taken the Chargers in this game. Anyway, kudos to the way Buffalo is playing right now. I just don't believe them. It's just like a few years ago when Buffalo started out, 4-0? And I didn't really believe them then. And at the end of the season, you kind of saw why I didn't believe them. But they're getting better. You know what I'm saying? They're improving. It's just not going to happen right now. I got San Diego. Jimmy, who you got in this one? I think you got a delay.
Yo, I'm taking Buffalo. I'm taking Buffalo because they're home. I like the way their defense plays. And EJ Manuel looks like he's getting better. So I'm going to take Buffalo by a touchdown. It's going to be a special teams touchdown. Also, I want the Chargers to lose. But anyway, I'm taking Buffalo.
All right, Jim, what you got?
I'm going to this game in a limousine. I'm going to be trashed, but but from what I hear last week, Ralph Stadium was rocking. That's turning into almost like Seattle, and I'm going to take Buffalo too. I think they get a big win to prove that they're actually sort of for real, but they're always for real the first 5 games. So after that, we never know. But
Buffalo's always had rabid fans. You just you don't hear about them anymore.
It's just different.
They don't have much to cheer about.
It's the Jim Kelly thing, and the team got bought. I mean, it's an electric feel up there, and I think they're going to get it done.
Plus, if you give them something to be raucous about, then they'll be raucous. Frank.
Yeah, I just want to shout out the Buffalo fans. They're like the most prideful 5-11 team of all time, year in and year out. So shout out to them. This is the kind of cold world that the NFL is because I picked the Chargers last week in an upset special, and now I'm gonna pick against them because I put way too much weight into the whole West Coast team going to the East Coast for a 1:00 start. I put an enormous amount of weight into this for some reason. I don't even know if it's actual fact. But I'm picking the Buffalo Bills just based on that.
All right, cool. So let's go Green Bay at Detroit. We'll stay with you, Frank.
I'm going to take the Packers. I think they will bounce back and have a statement win.
They just won. Bounce back from a win to another win.
Bounce back from maybe not being a legit team to actually beating a good team on the road.
Okay.
Detroit's like Jekyll and Hyde, but Jim, who you got?
This one's right down the middle for me. I'm going to go with Detroit because they're at home.
Jimmy?
It's a tough one because man, Detroit's at home. I'm taking Green Bay, yo. Green Bay. Yeah.
I'm going to take the home team as well. I'm going to take Detroit. I went out on a limb prior to the season, and I picked Detroit to finally come around and win this division. So if they're going to do that, then this is where they start with the team that most people pick to win the division. This could be a statement win for them. So I'm going to go with Detroit. Super Bowl rematch. We got Denver at Seattle. And I'll start with this one. Like I told you guys before we got on the air, I changed my pick on this one. And my pick was actually the home team, Seattle. For some reason, I got Denver going in there to win a game that's they're going to win, and they're still going to feel like trash because they couldn't beat them when it counted. But I think Denver will go in there, that home field aura, whatever streak they're on, it has to end at some point. So I got Denver going in there. Jimmy, who you got?
Yo, shout out to all my people, members of Bronco Gang. I'm picking Seattle, yo. And because listen, I mean,
plus
the way we're playing now, we basically get up on teams and then put it on cruise control. That's what we did the first couple weeks of the season, and almost had teams come back and win those games. But our regular season really means nothing to me at this point. So I don't want to run through the league and be 16-0 or 15-1 just to win the playoffs.
Take some lumps this year. Yeah.
I need some lumps. I need some losses, and for us to learn from said losses. So I'm taking Seattle to bounce back at home. Shout out to my members of Bronco Gang. I know y'all gonna cuss me out, but I'm taking Seattle.
All right, cool. Jim, who you got?
I think the Broncos are going to come out and they're going to win this game. Peyton Manning had a year to figure out what he did wrong in the Super Bowl, and I think that's going to be corrected, and he's going to take a page out of Rivers' book and just go right at Sherman. And I just don't see Peyton losing to a team like that twice. I think they're going to step up big and take that game.
And because of the new drug policy, he'll have Wes Welker back in the fold as well. Just note. Frank, who you got?
First of all, Richard Sherman, look at you, emotional. I see you all the time, always emotional. So stay out of your bag. But I am also going to take the Seahawks. I just think that if they won last week against San Diego, I might have taken the Broncos, but I think they're going to be out for vengeance. More vengeance than the Broncos are from last year.
Hopefully it's a better game. Hopefully it's a better game at least.
Yeah, at least give us a good game. Because that's going to be where everybody's tuned in.
How's that not the Monday night game?
4:25 Eastern.
Yeah. The fact that game's not on primetime is just a serious miscalculation.
Who did this?
Right.
All right, we got 2 more games to go. We try to speed it up a little bit. I'll stay with you, Frank. Jim's Steelers at Carolina. Should be a pretty good one.
Panthers could be this year's. Shout out to Bill Simmons. He always uses this term that nobody believes in his team. I'm actually going to take the Panthers at home.
Okay, Jim, you taking your boys?
It's the way we played last week. It's tough to say we're going to win, but I think this is a big stage and a chance for them to actually get a statement win that matters early in the season. We had none of those last year, and we've had 10 days to prepare. I have to believe we'll play a lot better. And I can't pick against them, so I'm not gonna. I gotta go with the Steelers.
I pick against the Eagles every week, but I'm gonna go with the Steelers as well. I'm one of those people that jumped on that bandwagon of Carolina regressing. They've been proving us wrong so far for 2 weeks. We'll see what they can do this week, but I got the Steelers going in there to Bank of America Stadium and taking one. I hope that's where they play. Jimmy, what you got?
I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers. I understand that Pittsburgh has Jerry Rice, a.k.a. Antonio Brown. But the fact of the matter is, I watched these last 2 weeks. Carolina's defense is for real. They are physical. They play no games, and they're going to be in every game because of that. and they have enough weapons on offense. I mean, Greg Olsen seems to be open every play. I don't know, like what's going on, why he's always open, but Greg Olsen is just always open.
Drag across the field, and Cam goes one
way.
Goes the other.
He runs
every time.
Every play. Always open. So, you know what I mean? I'm taking Carolina. Cam seemed to play okay last week. Carolina, man. We talked about them regressing. I don't know. We need more people.
I saw Cam Newton throw a laser to Avant in the end zone.
He throws everything that way. What the hell is wrong with him? Like he throws 100-mile-an-hour screen passes.
Yeah, he needs some touch. His Donovan McNabb. I'm just gonna throw every pass hard. All right. And we got the Monday night contest. You guys, before we got on, was like, how the hell is this the Monday night contest? We got the Chicago Bears going in to New York to play the Jets. And I'm going to go with the road team. I am fairly impressed with how the Jets have been playing so far this season. But I think Chicago will go in there, not get down like they got down against the 49ers. And I think Jay Cutler and the guys will pull it out because
when you got a quarterback
like Jay Cutler. Yeah. All right, Jim, who you got?
I see a lot of Buffalo in the Jets. Second-year quarterback, relying on your defense, ground and pound, blah, blah, blah. I think the Jets are going to win this game. Jay Cutler's going to make a mistake in there somewhere and blow it for him.
Or two.
Or three.
Jimmy, who you got?
I'm taking the Jets, another team whose defense is just crazy right now. They're well-balanced, and I'm actually impressed a little bit with Geno Smith. Not saying he's ready to be a star or he's good, even that he's good, but I can see the progression. I can see him not trying to force things. That's one thing I look for in young quarterbacks a lot of times, just to throw it away and live for another down. He's starting to do that instead of trying to, throw a touchdown or a home run every play. So I like the way the Jets have been playing. Their defense, like I said, is tough. And Jay Cutler, when you have a quarterback like Jay Cutler, like this game can go one of two ways. The Bears might win by 40 or they may lose by 20. Either way, it's going to be Cutler's fault.
Hashtag blame Marty Morningweg. Because when young Geno Smith did hit a home run, he got it deleted.
Yeah, how about
from
that?
The record. So blame Marty Morningweg.
The throw of his life.
Exactly. Frank, take us out of here, man.
I am picking the Jets for two reasons. I think that the Jets might be better than people think they are, and also I feel like the Bears may take the Bengals crown this year of that team that wins the games they're supposed to lose and loses the game they're supposed to win. You look at their schedule, you're like, how the hell did they beat the Niners on the road, and how the hell did they lose to the Bills at home? What the hell is going on with this team? But I guess for that reason.
All right.
But the Bears are who we thought they were.
You want to crown them? Crown them. Crown their ass. We let them off the hook. That's what 49ers are saying right now. We let them off the hook. All right, so like we always tell you guys after every show, make sure you subscribe to the page so you know when a new Field Vision comes out. Make sure you click the like button on the video. Leave a comment. Give us your games of the week or give us your opinion on any of the teams that we discussed here today. Look, go to sports-kings.com. Make sure you do that to get all your sports needs fulfilled. Go to warroomsports.com. Don't be lazy. Browse around the site. It's a whole lot of stuff you can get into, so make sure you do that. Just show your support, and you already do by watching the episodes of Field Vision, so we appreciate that. But before we get out of here, we always got to tell you guys, don't ever accept mediocrity, because mediocrity has been plaguing this country lately, and be steadfast in the war against ignorance.
See you chumps on top.
Field Vision.
Kuwait is the war room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.